be seated. That's a wonderful prayer. Open our eyes and open our ears, where Jesus has a message for us today. A message that gives possibility to our lives. And our theme today is, we are blessed by God to be a blessing to our world. Now, Mason, you were at the Kentucky Derby, weren't you? Did you go to that? You didn't make it this year, okay. Peggy Beal, one year, went to the Kentucky Derby, and she had this big hat, and her picture was on the front page of the Louisville newspaper. That was really great. And but I was watching the results of the Kentucky Derby, and the owner of the winning horse, I hope you bet on American Pharoah, he says, I am blessed beyond blessing. That's pretty good, I thought. Hey, so I'm talking about how to be blessed beyond blessing. Now, when I was a kid, I thought it was certain things that would be really big for being blessed. I would have the skill of Superman, able to jump over high buildings, perhaps, And I would have great wealth and great things. And in one of the Sunday school classes years ago, Aaron Johnson, with Sue Boswell and Mary Buck as teachers, they were talking about what makes a successful life. And Aaron Johnson says, the one who dies with the most toys wins. That is so great. And he was really funny. And he became an officer, and he was on the ground in that Gulf War. And his mom says, they moved to Minnesota, but please pray for him because he's a captain and serving on the ground. So you were kind of protecting him too. So here's the key I want to talk to you about. We are being blessed. In the Bethel Bible series, which we taught years ago, we had two classes, 1 year Old Testament, 1 year New Testament. We had an evening class and a day class. The portrait is Abram receiving the light from God, but he has a big prism, and the light hits the prism, and all of a sudden, all the colors of the rainbow come out. And that's the principle I'm talking about. You are the blessing. You bring light to the world. Jesus said, I'm the light of the world. He also said, you are the light of the world. You have something to offer people, to bring to people. Now, God had a plan for Abram's dad, Terah. Terah was the one who was supposed to go to Canaan. He was living in the Ur of the Chaldees. Now, it's way to the south of Iraq today. At that time, the great river was there, and he was told to leave that cultural place and go and make a big crescent trip, because you don't go across the desert, you went around it, up to Turkey, then down to Palestine. He goes. He gets as far as southern Turkey, a place called Haran. Now, Haran was also the same name of his son, one of the sons that died during that time. Now, he stopped. It was cultural. They had fruit trees. It was a wonderful place, and said, this is good enough for me. But what does God want? He wants us to receive a message, then take a step based on that faith. That's really important. Not just receive or believe. You take a step in the direction that Jesus is guiding you. A step in the direction that Jesus is leading you. So, they're up there. Terah dies. And God says, I've got to get somebody else. Abram. Later on, he gets his name changed to Abraham, which means father of many nations. But right now, it's Abram. And God says to Abram, I will bless you. I'll make your name great. And you will be the father of many nations. And how is that? Isaac is the father, Abraham, Isaac. He would be the father of the Jewish nation. His other son, Ishmael, is in the Quran. He's the father of the Arabs. They're all relatives, and they're still fighting. But they're relatives through Abram. Then he says, by you, everybody in the world is going to get a blessing. What a promise. How could that be? Well, through his lineage, we have Jesus born in Bethlehem. In other words, the great descendant of Abram is Jesus. And so what we have is the great blessing of our Messiah and our Savior. So, he steps out. Now it says this is really interesting in chapter 15 of Genesis. Abram, this is Genesis 15 verse 6. Abram believed God. And God counted it to him as righteousness. Oh, I thought when I was a kid to be righteous as a good person, as a preacher's kid, to be a righteous meant I didn't go to any movies. I had to sneak in to see The Incredible Shrinking Man in the 50s. And didn't let Dad or anybody see me get to that movie. You didn't go to dances. I didn't mind that at all. And then you didn't play with regular playing cards of ace, king, queen, jack. You played with rook cards. And you're restricted. You didn't go shopping on Sunday. There were certain rules. And you didn't smoke or drink. And that made you righteous. Abram believed God. And he believed in so much that he took a step, leaving a very comfortable, wonderful place, to continue that trip toward the Mediterranean Sea, and then come down south to Canaan, to the promised land. And so, what is God requiring of you and me? It's like, can we take a step in faith? Could we believe Jesus? What Jesus is teaching us is correct, right, and it leads to happiness. So the basic message here is this. Wherever we are, we're blessed, and we are to brighten the corner. There's a kid's song we sang, brighten the corner where you are. Or you might say bloom where you're planted. Anybody could make a difference in any place. Now, I am so old that I can remember my mom in the back room had this big round washing machine and it had a wringer. You had to wring it out when you were done. And you hang the things on the clothesline to dry. And so this is from a mom's advice to a daughter. If any of you have daughters, you could give this advice to your daughter. This is 99 years ago called Wash Day. And here it goes. 1916 in Appalachia. Okay, not much electric there or anything. Build a fire in the backyard to heat the kettle of rainwater. Remember they had these big barrels to catch the rainwater? Get a kettle, the backyard, make your fire. 2, set tubs so smoke won't blow in your eyes if the wind is strong. Now you gotta watch where the wind's coming. 3, shave 1 whole cake of lye soap in the boiling water. 4, sort things, make 3 piles. 1 pile of white, 1 pile colored clothes. As us guys don't know that. We'll mix that together and we'll make new colors. And 1 pile work breeches and rags. Okay? Set flour in cold water to smooth, then thin down with boiling water. Rub dirty spots on the board. I'm under the scrub board. Okay. Rub dirty spots on the board, scrub hard, then boil. Rub the colored clothes, don't boil, just rinse in the starch. Okay. Take the white clothes out of the kettle with a broomstick handle, so you don't hurt yourself, and then rinse and starch. Hang your old rags on the fence. Spread the tea towels on the grass. Pour the rinse water on the flower bed. Don't waste anything here. A hot soapy water, scrub your porch. I'm getting tired already here. Turn the tubs upside down. Go put on a fresh dress. Smooth your hair with side combs. Brew a cup of tea. Sit and rest and rock a spell. And count blessings. She didn't need a lot of wealth to be counting blessings. Didn't have much. It was a lot of work. But count your blessings. Count your blessings one by one, and it may surprise you what the Lord has done. But a spiritual strength is to count blessings. Don't see what you don't have, see what you do have. Oh, I have a wonderful story I want to share. And it's from the Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. And this is a great story. You know, I was a teenager. Mom, Dad didn't know much. I knew my friends knew so much more. It wasn't until we got older, you know, that we realized how smart Dad and Mom were. But this gal, her name is Kate Leaked, age 17 when she wrote the article. In my junior year in high school, I've been looking for the junior overnight girls retreat. Hey, those were fun. Remember the overnights? That was good. They went to a retreat, and they talked about, for the girls, discuss problems, concerns, worries about school, worries about friends, guys or whatever, and we had great discussions, and she went home with a great feeling and put her notes aside in the drawer, and then things got worse. Well, a friend of mine really hurt my feelings. Remember those days? Some of us got hurt feelings from friends in high school. I had a fight with my mom. And I was worried about my grades, particularly in English class. To top it off, I was worried about the upcoming prom. I literally cried myself to sleep every night with all her worries. I had hoped a junior overnight girls retreat would calm my nerves and help me, and it was just temporary. Well, woke up Friday morning with a heavy heart, pulled out some socks out of the door, things fell out, and there was a sheet of paper. Now this sheet of paper is going to change your life, so I'll read it to you. Might change mine here. This is what the teacher wrote down for the lesson. Life is not about keeping score. It's not about how many people call you, and it's not about who you dated, or dating, or haven't dated at all. It isn't about who you kissed, or what sport you play, or which guy or girl likes you. I had that all wrong in high school. I thought that was it. It's not about your shoes, or the hair, or the color of your skin, or where you live, or go to school. In fact, it's not about grades, money, clothes, or colleges that accept you or not. I thought those were, as a kid, I remember thinking those things. It's not about those. Life isn't about you. If you have a lot of friends, or if you're alone, it's not about how accepted or unaccepted you are. Life is not about that. Wow, she's reading this. But life is about who you love and who you hurt. It's about how you feel about yourself. It's about trust and happiness and compassion. It's about sticking up for your friends and replacing inner hate. Boy, as teenagers, we get into hate. Replacing it with love. Oh, boy. It's about avoiding jealousy, overcoming ignorance, building confidence. It's about what you say and what you mean. It's about seeing people for who they are and not what they have. What? We thought status was the richest kid or the kid best in sports. Most of all, it's about choosing to use your life to touch somebody else's in a way that could never have been achieved otherwise. In other words, the real purpose is to touch another life. These choices are what life's about. It's choices. Well, I aced my English test that day. I had a fun time with my friend that weekend, the one that insulted her. And I got the courage to talk to the boy I liked. I spent more time with my family and made an effort to listen to my mom. Well, it was really impressive. I even found a great dress for the prom and had a wonderful time. And it wasn't luck, it wasn't a miracle. It was a change of heart and a change of attitude on my part. Wow. These are the things that matter. This girl, I'm glad that you looked that up for this book. It's just so impressive. So here's the key. Jesus says in the Gospel of John, in the upper room, I'm the vine, you're the branch. I need to feed you. I need to spiritually feed you the love and the strength to serve. And then you produce fruit. Yeah, some of us produce apples or grapes or turnips, I don't know what kind of fruit we produce, but we produce different kinds of fruit. And I was talking to Reverend Alan Mason, who's speaking up in Carlisle. He has a church up there, a UCC church. They got in a big fight, fired their pastor. Pastor, by the way, got a much bigger, better church with a much higher salary. He's happy. But Alan's up there doing ministry, healing the wounds. And we were talking, and Alan talked about this week to me about ornamental trees. You can go to Washington, D.C. and see the cherry blossoms, but those Japanese trees don't produce cherries. In other words, I'm just looking good, but I don't have any fruit of love to share. Oh, and Jesus says, I want you to somehow bear fruit of love. Joy and peace and patience and goodness and kindness, to be faithful, and to finally have some self-control where you watch what you're saying, and if you have something mean on the computer, you don't push the send button. In other words, we can touch a life for good and not add trouble. Well, the one thing I want to say about being blessed, and this I did not know really until a few years ago when I thought about it. Your bad experiences can be a blessing. And the first time I came across it was reading about those soldiers who were captured in Vietnam, how they were beaten, tortured, and some of them said it was the best thing for their life because it really showed them what was important in life. I'm like, what? How could they say that? They were tortured. It was awful. They said it had a profound good effect. Now, I'm going to tell you a kind of a funny story. So I go, I'm in 8th grade. That summer, Mom dies. I go to 9th grade. Dad says, it's time to get you off to a Christian boarding school in Florida, leaving Pennsylvania. Go down there. And I'm in this boarding school. And we go to church twice a day. And 3 times on Sunday, I do all the songs. And that was a problem when I first came here, because I introduced some songs you never heard about. People were complaining. But finally, you learned a few of them. But the lady in charge of that was the wife of the president. And she was the most negative person I ever saw. And our dorm, for the boys, one of the dorms was right above her house. She's like on the bottom floor, we're the next floor up. And my room was right outside her back door. And at the back door, she would chew out the faculty, and they made no money. They were all like missionaries. And the school actually gave them clothes to wear. But she would chew them out for being so bad. My goodness, I'm thinking. And we were just interested in listening to this. This was fascinating to hear all these terrible things being said. And she had a mental problem, is what she had, really. And I always thought, you know, I went to a school, this Hampton Academy, but they were always negative. And I would complain about it. I went to a negative high school. They were all negative. Then it dawned on me, that was a blessing. It changed my life for the better. I'm happier because of it. Of that bad thing. And how it changed me was this. For 3 years, I was so tired of negativity, I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want the negative. And I learned to look for the good in people. And in Wheaton College, in ROTC, they said, Ed, you got this squad, and if they don't have their shoes shine and their buttons polished, you can give them demerits. And I said, can I give them merits? Well, yes. I never gave out a demerit. I always looked, what is good about this person? Give this person, the shoes are shining. Makes the shoes are shine, let's give him a merit. Or those buttons are polished, let's give that person a merit. And I found out truly that people are great. One of my spiritual gifts now is I see greatness in people. I really do. And so it just turned out that bad thing turned out to be a good thing. I wouldn't have had that. And so I'm just saying, we're blessed, even with some of the bad experiences, but it can be a blessing. It depends on our attitude. Can we trust Jesus to follow our Good Shepherd? Well, we ought to count our blessings and see what God has done. And know that as we're blessed, we're called somehow to be a blessing to the family, friends, neighborhood, our country, as many of you served in the military, especially, or teachers, whatever. And then the whole world, as we send out Dr. Clark to go to Mexico, or as we send Dan Kingery back to Malawi, Africa, or we send Anastasia Aarons, she's going to go over and do a dental mission in Belize. But you're also on mission right here in the church family and in the community. And that's our meditation for today.